American homeowners in their 50s and 60s, your great-grandmother's June yard had hummingbirds at every border and butterflies on every stem. And the garden center industry spent 50 years quietly replacing every single plant that made that happen. Not because you forgot, because nobody ever handed you the list she kept. These 16 ancestral perennials built permanent wildlife sanctuaries across every American zone. One-time investment, every June, compounding for decades. Before plant number 1, drop your state right now, because your USDA zone completely changes which of these performs best for you. Find yours and pay attention. And the one at number 13, never let it reach the catalog page since your great-grandmother's time. This changes everything. Plant number 1, Cardinal flower, and your great-grandmother did not grow this for decoration. She grew it because the ruby-throated hummingbird chose this scarlet spike above every other flower in a quarter-mile radius every single June. Picture a 4-foot crimson tower erupting from a shaded border edge, blooms stacked from base to tip, a hummingbird hovering at each one in sequence like it owns the yard. Zones 3 through 9, part shade to full shade, consistently moist soil. What the USDA Forest Service and Missouri Botanical Garden both document, and no nursery tag ever tells you, is that the ruby-throated hummingbird and cardinal flower evolved together. The beak length and tube depth a perfect match found nowhere else in any June perennial. $8 plant self. Seeds into a permanent expanding colony along any moist border edge. 0 replanting cost. Every season compounding. Most American growers plant cardinal flower in dry full sun positions because the scarlet color reads like a sun lover. That single mistake costs the plant its second season and costs the yard its primary hummingbird anchor every June after. Keep cardinal flower at the moist, shaded border edge where your great-grandmother placed it, and it will self-seed, expand, and pull ruby-throated hummingbirds into that exact spot every June without you touching it again. Plant number 2 carries something most American growers have completely forgotten. It was the painted lady butterfly's first stop every June before the annual industry removed it from every yard on the street. And somewhere in this video is the story of a woman in her 60s in Tennessee who found her grandmother's garden journal listing every plant on this list. That story is coming. Keep watching. Plant number 2, hollyhock. And what your great-grandmother understood that the modern garden center completely erased is that this 6-foot ancestral tower was never just a vertical display. It was the painted lady butterfly's primary feeding and hosting station every June across every American homestead border. Picture a farmhouse fence line stacked with double blooms in rose and cream and deep burgundy, painted ladies working every flower from ground level straight to the top. Zones 3 through 8, full sun, average well, drained soil. What no nursery tag documents is that hollyhock serves the painted lady butterfly twice. First as a nectar source, and then as a host plant where she lays eggs, making every established plant a 2-season wildlife investment no annual can replicate. $8 plant recedes permanently along any sunny fence line, replacing $60 or more in annual vertical displays. Your neighbors keep repurchasing every spring. Most American growers plant hollyhock flush against a wall or solid fence with 0 air circulation. That mistake triggers hollyhock rust within 1 season, a fungal collapse that takes the entire colony down and ends the painted lady relationship completely. Plant hollyhock 18 inches clear of any wall or fence, air moving freely around every stem, and that colony recedes, compounds, and hosts painted lady butterflies every June for decades without a single repurchase. Have you ever grown hollyhock? Not in a pot, not in a greenhouse, but directly against a farmhouse fence line the way your great-grandmother did? Drop it below. Plant number 3. Built the single most dramatic June skyline on any ancestral homestead border, and hummingbirds hovered at it before they touched anything else in the yard. Plant number 3, Delphinium Pacific Giants, and no June perennial on any ancestral homestead border stopped a hummingbird mid-flight the way a 6-foot cobalt tower did every single season without fail. Picture a wall of pure deep blue rising 6 feet above the border edge, each floret engineered at exactly the depth a ruby throatbeak reaches in one clean hover. Zones 3 through 7. Full sun, rich, well-drained soil. What ancestral homestead growers understood, documented by university extension records, is that cobalt blue at 6 feet operates as a navigation beacon. Hummingbirds locate from distances. No red or pink perennial in the border can match. One $10 plant cut to the base, after first bloom, reliably produces a second flush the same season, doubling the hummingbird window. Other perennials deliver only once. Most American growers never cut Delphinium back after first bloom, assuming the season is finished. That single missed cut costs the yard its entire second hummingbird feeding window, a loss that repeats every season. The mistake continues. Cut Delphinium to the base the moment first bloom finishes, and that cobalt tower returns the same season, doubling every hummingbird. Visit your border records. Plant number 4 does something no single perennial on this list does alone. It pulls hummingbirds, butterflies, and over 50 bee species into one spot simultaneously. And your great-grandmother knew exactly why she placed it where she did. Plant number 4, wild bergamot. And while Delphinium feeds one species at a time, this ancestral prairie perennial pulls hummingbirds, butterflies, and over 50 documented bee species into a single plant simultaneously. A wildlife density no other June perennial on this list produces alone. Picture a 4-foot lavender cloud at the border edge, every bloom head alive with movement, hummingbirds and swallowtails working the same stem at the same moment. Zones 3 through 9, full sun to part shade, average to dry soil. What the USDA plants database documents and no garden center tag ever mentions is that wild bergamot's aromatic foliage actively deters mosquitoes while simultaneously operating as a primary hummingbird nectar source. 2 functions no other plant on this list delivers together. One $8 plant expands by rhizome into a permanent self-sustaining colony. 0 division required, compounding its wildlife value every season without replanting cost. Most American growers plant wild bergamot in rich, moist, amended soil because that is the default garden center instruction. That mistake produces tall, floppy stems that collapse before peak bloom, eliminating the entire hummingbird and butterfly window. The plant was placed there to create. Plant wild bergamot in lean, average soil with full sun. Upright stems hold every bloom at perfect feeding height for hummingbirds, butterflies, and 50 bee species every June. Did you believe it needed rich, amended soil? The same instruction every garden center tag repeats. Be completely honest in the comments. Plant number 5, Queen of the Prairie, and no ancestral homestead border plant produced the kind of June spectacle this 6-foot feathery pink plume did, drawing swallowtail butterflies from distances that made neighboring yards stop and take notice every single season. Picture cotton, candy pink plumes, rising 6 feet above the border, each cluster a dense butterfly landing platform that stayed in peak bloom from June straight into July. Zones 3 through 8, full sun to part shade, consistently moist to average soil. What Missouri Botanical Garden and Prairie Nursery both document, and no nursery tag ever surfaces, is that Queen of the Prairie bloom clusters operate as high platform butterfly landing stations, accessible to swallowtail species that cannot feed from low-growing border plants at all. One $10 plant spreads by rhizome into a permanent 6-foot colony, confirmed June through August bloom, replacing $80 or more in annual tall border replacements every spring. Most American growers place Queen of the Prairie in dry, average border soil, assuming any perennial tolerates standard conditions. That mistake stunts the rhizome spread, halves the bloom density, and eliminates the high platform butterfly relationship the plant was specifically chosen to create. Keep Queen of the Prairie at the moist border edge where consistent soil moisture reaches the rhizome, and that colony expands, compounds, and delivers swallowtail butterflies to elevated feeding platforms every June without intervention. Plant number 6 was the ancestral border plant that made every grower in the 50s and 60s stop mid-season and reconsider everything they thought they knew about what a June perennial could do. Plant number 6, Russell lupine. And what made every ancestral homestead border in June immediately recognizable was this 4-foot mixed color spike rising from palmate foliage in blues and purples and creams that no modern annual has ever replicated at any price point. Picture a dense row of cathedral spires, in a dozen colors simultaneously. Every spike a butterfly and bumblebee feeding station, operating from the moment the first floret opened. Zones 4 through 8, full sun to light shade, slightly acidic well, drained soil. What university extension records confirm and no nursery catalog ever prints is that Russell lupine fixes atmospheric nitrogen directly into surrounding border soil, actively improving growing conditions for every companion perennial planted within 3 feet of its root zone. One $8 plant deadheaded immediately after first bloom reliably produces lateral spikes the same season, extending the butterfly feeding window by 4 to 6 weeks beyond what a single bloom cycle delivers. Most American growers leave spent Russell lupine spikes standing, assuming the season is complete after first bloom. That mistake eliminates the lateral spike cycle entirely, cutting the butterfly feeding window in half and leaving the border without its most dramatic June vertical presence, exactly when it matters most. Deadhead Russell lupine the moment first bloom finishes. Lateral spikes return within weeks, and that border holds its butterfly feeding window 4 to 6 weeks longer than any single cycle perennial delivers. Plant number 7 carried something your great-grandmother understood that modern growers in their 50s and 60s were never told. Its tubular architecture was not accidental. It was engineered by 50 centuries of evolution, specifically for one visitor. Plant number 7, foxglove. And what your great-grandmother placed at the shaded border edge was not simply a tall lavender spike. It was a tubular feeding architecture that university extension records confirm evolved exclusively to match the precise beak depth of the ruby-throated hummingbird. Picture 5-foot lavender towers with spotted interiors. Every tube a perfect fit, hummingbirds working each spike from bottom floret to top in one unbroken feeding sequence. Zones 4 through 9, part shade to dappled light, moist well, drained soil. What no nursery label documents is that foxglove operates on a biennial self-seeding cycle. First year rosette, second year spike, meaning every established plant guarantees the next generation is already growing at its base before the current bloom finishes. One $8 plant self seeds into a permanent self-sustaining colony. Zero replanting cost, delivering a fresh hummingbird feeding architecture every single June indefinitely. Most American growers remove foxglove second-year rosettes in autumn, assuming they are spent or dead material that needs clearing. That mistake permanently breaks the self-seeding cycle, ending the hummingbird tubular feeding relationship and forcing a repurchase. The garden center was quietly counting on every spring. Leave every foxglove rosette exactly where it falls. At season end, that colony self-seeds, compounds, and delivers a fresh tubular hummingbird feeding architecture every June without a single repurchase ever. And we have not even reached number 13 yet. The steel blue ancestral perennial no catalog page ever carried. Plant number 8 creates aerial butterfly corridors at heights no other border perennial on this list reaches. Earlier at the start of this video, I mentioned a woman in her 60s in Tennessee. This is that story. She found her grandmother's handwritten garden journal in a cedar chest. Every plant on this list, named in cursive, across 3 pages, and what Missouri Botanical Garden and Wisconsin Extension both confirm is that every single one of those ancestral perennials was documented on American homesteads, specifically because hummingbirds and butterflies. She replanted 3 of those ancestral perennials for $28 total: Cardinal flower, wild bergamot, and penstemon rondo, and documented ruby-throated hummingbirds and painted lady butterflies returning to that Zone 7 Tennessee border the same season. If you are still watching, this next plant is why I made this video, not for the algorithm, for the grower who stayed. Plant number 8, Meadow rue. And what your great-grandmother placed at the back of the ancestral border was a 6-foot airy lavender cloud that created butterfly corridors at heights no other perennial on this list reaches, pulling swallowtail species that never descend to feed at low border plants at all. Picture a towering haze of tiny lavender, purple blooms suspended on near-invisible stems, the kind of aerial feeding platform that made ancestral homestead borders destinations for every winged visitor within a half-mile. Zones 4 through 8 part shade to full shade, consistently moist, rich soil. What no nursery label surfaces is that Thalictrum rochebrunianum produces columbine, like blue-green foliage that functions as a second ornamental layer below the bloom cloud, delivering visual interest from the moment it emerges in spring through the full June butterfly season. One $10 plant forms a permanent self, supporting clump in moist shaded conditions, zero staking required, expanding its aerial butterfly corridor value every season without division or replanting cost. Most American growers position Meadow rue in full sun border spots, assuming height means sun preference. That mistake produces scorched foliage, weakened stems, and a collapsed flower cloud that eliminates the aerial butterfly corridor before a single swallowtail locates it. Place Meadow rue in the moist shaded back border where your great-grandmother always positioned it, and that self-supporting lavender cloud delivers aerial butterfly corridors at 6 feet every June without staking or intervention. Plant number 9 feeds butterflies at ground level where Meadow rue cannot reach, and the Missouri Botanical Garden documented it as one of the most reliable butterfly attractors across every American zone on this list. Plant number 9, Goldplate yarrow. And what made this flat golden plate the butterfly anchor of every ancestral homestead border was not its color alone, but its architecture. A wide horizontal landing platform that every butterfly species from swallowtails to skippers could access simultaneously without competition. Picture dinner. Plate-sized golden discs hovering at 3 feet above the border. 6, 8, 10 butterflies working the same flat surface at the same moment. A feeding density, no vertical perennial on this list. Replicates zones 3 through 9. Full sun, dry to average, well, drained soil. What the Missouri Botanical Garden documents, and no garden center tag mentions, is that Goldplate yarrow dried seed heads provide critical overwintering habitat for native beneficial insects, extending its wildlife value from June butterfly season straight through to the following spring. One $8 plant divides every 3 years into 4 to 6 new plants, a permanent compounding asset that expands butterfly landing capacity across the border without a single additional purchase. Most American growers cut Goldplate yarrow to the ground in autumn, assuming clean borders equal healthy gardens. That mistake eliminates the overwintering insect habitat entirely and removes the self-expanding division cycle that makes every original plant a permanent border investment. Leave Goldplate yarrow seed heads standing through winter, divide every 3 years, and that border anchor compounds into a permanent butterfly landing station that never costs another dollar. Plant number 10 is the ancestral border anchor that pulled every butterfly species within a quarter mile into one spot. And the Perennial Plant Association named it Plant of the Year for exactly that reason. Plant number 10, Becky Shasta daisy. And what ancestral homestead growers understood that no modern garden center communicates is that this 3-foot white daisy with its wide golden center operates as the single most concentrated butterfly landing station in any June border, pulling every species within a quarter mile into one fixed point simultaneously. Picture a wall of pure white blooms at chest height, golden centers packed with feeding butterflies, swallowtails and painted ladies and skippers, all working the same border section at once. Zones 4 through 9, full sun average, well-drained soil. What the Perennial Plant Association documented when naming Becky Plant of the Year in 2003, and no nursery tag repeats, is that its upright non-floppy stems hold every golden center at precise butterfly feeding height through heat, wind, and heavy rain that collapses every other Shasta variety in the border. One $10 plant deadheaded consistently through June delivers lateral blooms extending the butterfly concentration window by 6 full weeks beyond a single flush cycle. Most American growers treat Becky Shasta like a cut, and forget perennial, never deadheading through the season. That mistake cuts the butterfly feeding window in half and leaves the border's most powerful concentration point operating at a fraction of its documented ancestral capacity. Deadhead Becky Shasta consistently through June. Upright stems hold every golden center at perfect butterfly feeding height, and that border anchor delivers 6 extra weeks of concentrated butterfly activity. What plant in your yard has defeated every single thing you have tried? Drop it below. Plant number 11 kept butterflies working the same border spot from June into August across zones 4 through 9 without a single replanting. Plant number 11, Jerusalem sage, and what your great-grandmother grew at the sunny border edge was not a common sage relative, but a 4-foot architectural perennial whose whorled yellow flower clusters stacked at precise intervals along every stem created a butterfly and bumblebee feeding ladder. No other June perennial on this list replicates. Picture gray, green felted foliage supporting tiered rings of soft yellow blooms. Butterflies and bumblebees moving upward from whorl to whorl in one unbroken feeding sequence through June and straight into August. Zones 4 through 9, full sun, dry to average well, drained soil. What no nursery label documents is that Jerusalem sage dried seed whorls persist through winter as architectural border structure, providing critical overwintering habitat for native beneficial insects while delivering visual interest across every cold month after the June butterfly season closes. One $10 plant establishes permanent drought-tolerant roots within one season. Zero irrigation required after establishment, compounding its wildlife value from June through August across zones 4 through 9 indefinitely. Most American growers plant Jerusalem sage in rich amended moist soil, assuming every border perennial needs feeding. That mistake produces lush soft growth that collapses under its own weight, eliminating the rigid stem architecture that makes the world feeding ladder accessible to butterflies at every level. Plant Jerusalem sage in lean, dry soil. Rigid stems hold every whorled cluster at perfect butterfly height from June through August. Without staking, leave seed whorls standing through winter. Structural presence and overwintering insect habitat delivered straight to the following June. Plant number 12 created the most sustained butterfly corridor of any bell-shaped ancestral perennial across zones 4 through 7. Plant number 12, Campanula, and what your great-grandmother positioned at the partially shaded border middle was a 5-foot lavender, bluebell tower that created the most sustained butterfly and bumblebee corridor of any ancestral June perennial. Its dense clustered blooms accessible from every angle simultaneously, without competition for a single feeding position. Picture a dense column of soft lavender bells at chest height. Bumblebees entering each flower completely butterflies, working the outer bell faces in an unbroken sequence from base to tip. Zones 4 through 7, part shade to full sun, moist well, drained soil. What RHS records confirm, and no nursery tag documents, is that Campanula lactiflora cut hard to the base after first bloom reliably produces a full second flush the same season, doubling the butterfly and bumblebee corridor window. Every established plant delivers. One $10 plant self seeds into a permanent naturalized colony along any moist partially shaded border. Zero replanting cost, compounding its wildlife corridor value every June indefinitely. Most American growers never cut Campanula back after first bloom, assuming the season is finished. That mistake eliminates the second flush entirely, having the butterfly feeding window and leaving the border's most sustained bell flower corridor operating at half its documented ancestral capacity. Cut Campanula hard to the base after first bloom. Second flush returns within weeks. Double butterfly and bumblebee feeding window delivered every season. Drop your state in the comments. Your USDA zone completely changes which of these performs best for you. Plant number 13 is the one this video promised from the first line. Steel blue architecture butterflies navigate toward from 100 yards. Plant number 13, sea holly. And what your great-grandmother placed at the sunny border front was a steel, blue metallic architecture that no other June perennial produces. Operating at a color frequency, butterflies navigate toward from 100 yards before any other bloom in the border registers in their field of vision. Picture branching steel, blue stems holding dozens of metallic cone heads, surrounded by spiky silver, blue bracts, every butterfly in a quarter mile locked onto that frequency, the moment it clears the fence line. Zones 4 through 9. Full sun, dry to average well, drained soil. What no catalog page documents is that steel, blue operates at a color frequency butterflies detect and navigate toward at distances that red, pink, and white border perennials never reach, confirmed by university pollinator research across multiple American growing zones. One $10 plant divides permanently every 3 years. Zero replacement cost, compounding its butterfly navigation beacon value across the border every season. Most American growers plant sea holly in rich amended soil, assuming every perennial needs feeding to perform. That mistake produces lush green foliage with almost zero flower production, eliminating the steel, blue beacon that makes this plant the butterfly navigation anchor of the entire ancestral border. Plant sea holly in lean, dry soil with full sun. That steel blue beacon divides permanently, compounds every season, and pulls butterflies from distances no other plant on this border reaches. Plant number 14 is the ancestral medicinal giant your great-grandmother grew at the back border, the tallest butterfly landing station on any homestead, and it has not appeared on a single catalog page in 50 years. Plant number 14, elecampane, and what your great-grandmother anchored at the back border was a 6-foot medicinal giant whose large yellow daisy flowers operated as the highest butterfly landing station in the entire garden. Picture bright yellow daisy blooms suspended at eye level, large enough for a swallowtail to land and feed without folding its wings. Zones 3 through 8. Full sun to part shade. Moist average soil. What 18th and 19th century American homestead records document, and no modern nursery surfaces, is that elecampane root was the most widely used ancestral respiratory remedy on the American frontier, making every border plant a dual-purpose medicinal and wildlife asset. No catalog replacement has ever matched. One $10 plant forms a permanent expanding clump, self-sustaining year after year, delivering the tallest butterfly landing platform in the border at zero ongoing cost. Most American growers overlook elecampane entirely because no garden center stocks it. That gap costs the border its tallest butterfly station, and the yard its only documented dual-purpose ancestral medicinal giant, every single June. Anchor elecampane at the moist back border. That permanent clump delivers the tallest butterfly landing station in the yard every June without division or replanting. Have you ever grown elecampane from an ancestral record the way your great-grandmother kept it? Drop it below. Plant number 15 held the ancestral border together from June through frost, across zones 3 through 9 on a single original investment. Plant number 15, Stella deoro daylily, and what your great-grandmother massed at the sunny border front was a golden trumpet perennial that held the ancestral border together from June straight through frost, delivering continuous hummingbird and butterfly activity across every American zone when every other perennial on this list had already finished its season. Picture dense golden trumpets at knee height, fresh blooms opening daily, hummingbirds working each trumpet in sequence from the first June morning straight into October, zones 3 through 9, full sun to light shade, average well, drained soil. What no nursery label documents is that Stella deoro produces the longest continuous bloom window of any daylily on the ancestral list, confirmed June through frost, with fresh trumpets opening daily on each scape, as long as spent blooms are removed consistently. One $8 plant divides every 3 years into 8 to 10 new fans, a permanent compounding border asset that expands hummingbird and butterfly coverage across zones 3 through 9 without a single additional purchase. Most American growers never deadhead Stella deoro scapes, assuming daylilies self-manage. That mistake shortens the bloom window by 6 to 8 weeks, cutting the hummingbird and butterfly activity the border depends on through the second half of the season. Deadhead Stella deoro scapes daily through the season. Fresh golden trumpets open continuously, and that border front delivers hummingbird and butterfly activity from June straight through frost across every American zone. Plant number 16 is the USDA top-ranked hummingbird attractor across the Great Plains and Rockies, the longest bloom window on this entire list, and your great-grandmother grew it before the garden center industry ever knew its name. Plant number 16, Penstemon rondo, and what the USDA ranked as the top hummingbird attractor across the Great Plains and Rocky Mountain Range is this tubular coral and purple bloom tower that opens in June and never stops until August, the longest unbroken hummingbird feeding window of any perennial on this entire ancestral list. Picture mixed coral red and deep purple tubes rising at every border angle, a ruby, throat hovering at each one in sequence, the same plant your great-grandmother grew before any nursery catalog existed. Zones 3 through 8, full sun, dry to average well, drained soil. What the USDA documents across Great Plains and Rocky Mountain survey data is that Penstemon barbatus tubular architecture matches ruby, throat beak depth, more precisely than any other native perennial in the American West, making every established plant a primary hummingbird feeding station from June through August. One $8 plant blooms continuously for the longest window on this list, June through August, delivering 3 full months of documented hummingbird attraction at zero ongoing cost. Most American growers overwater established Penstemon rondo, assuming dry stems signal drought stress. That mistake causes crown rot at soil level, killing the plant silently before the second season and ending the longest hummingbird window the border had. Plant Penstemon rondo in lean, dry soil, never overwater the established crown, and that tubular hummingbird station delivers the longest unbroken feeding window on this entire list from June straight through August. You just watched 16 ancestral perennials your great-grandmother grew, every one documented, every one zone proven. Here are 3 things about this ancestral sanctuary that almost no source puts in one place. 3 things about this ancestral sanctuary that almost no source puts in one place. The ruby-throated hummingbird and cardinal flower share an exclusive co-evolved relationship. Beak length matched to tube depth, documented by the USDA Forest Service, found in no other June perennial on this list. Monarda fistulosa simultaneously attracts hummingbirds, butterflies, and over 50 documented bee species to a single plant, a wildlife density no annual border replacement has ever replicated at any price point. Eryngium blue glitter operates at a steel blue color frequency. Butterflies navigate toward from 100 yards, a documented pollinator navigation beacon. No red, pink, or white border perennial reaches. The entire 16-plant ancestral sanctuary cost $150 to $210 one time, permanently eliminating the $180 annual replacement habit, and compounds its hummingbird and butterfly value every June without a single additional dollar. Here is exactly where to begin, based on your zone right now. Here is exactly where to begin. Zone to plants to dollar. Zones 3 through 7 start with cardinal flower, wild bergamot, and Penstemon rondo, under $28 total, a documented hummingbird and butterfly trio, cold proven across the full Northern American zone range that establishes root systems before July heat closes the June planting window, zones 6 through 9. Add hollyhock, foxglove, and leucanthemum Becky to that starter trio, under $50 total. 6 ancestral perennials that cover every wildlife function from ground-level butterfly concentration to 6-foot hummingbird architecture. Miss this June planting window and every root system that anchors your first full ancestral sanctuary season waits 1 complete year. You just received zone-accurate, dollar-grounded, research-based knowledge of 16 ancestral perennials your great-grandmother grew. Knowledge the garden center industry spent 50 years quietly replacing with annuals that never brought a single hummingbird back. Drop your state and zone in the comments right now and tell us which ancestral perennial you are recovering first this June. Subscribe to Natural Verge. The plants your great-grandmother grew are still out there, and we find them every single week.